Emma had always been drawn to the painted pink dress. It hung in the back of her mother's wardrobe, a splash of colour in a sea of muted browns and greys. The fabric was silk, soft and shimmering, but the paint was thick and cracked with age.
As a child, I would often sneak into my mother's room and stare at the dress. I would trace the painted flowers with my fingers, imagining the woman who had once worn it. Who was she, this mysterious figure from my mother's past? Why was the dress hidden away in the darkness?
When Emma asked her mother about the dress, she was always met with a tight-lipped silence.
It's just an old dress, nothing special.
But Emma knew deep down that there was more to the story. The painted pink dress held a secret. She could feel it.
As the years passed, the dress became a symbol of all the things I didn't know about my mother.
From a young age, Emma had been fascinated by the painted pink dress. She would spend hours gazing at it, her fingers tracing the delicate brushstrokes, her mind spinning tales of the woman who had once worn it.
Who painted it? Where did it come from? Who wore it?
But her mother's response was always the same, a curt dismissal, a deflection, a wall of silence.
It's just a dress, Emma. Don't dwell on things that are best left in the past.
But Emma couldn't just dismiss it. The dress was more than just an object. It was a whispered promise of a story untold. Years passed, and the pink dress remained a silent sentinel in the back of the wardrobe.
I yearned for a time when my mother would be ready to share her story, to trust me with the truth. I clung to the hope that one day, the silence would break, and the secrets woven into the fabric of the painted pink dress would finally be revealed.
Time marched on, and the painted pink dress continued to hold Emma captive in its web of mystery. As her mother aged, a sense of urgency grew within Emma. She realized that time was slipping away, taking with it the stories and memories of the past.
Determined to uncover the truth, I began to discreetly ask questions, searching for any scrap of information about my mother's early life. I delved into old photo albums, my fingers tracing the faded edges of images that held no answers. I listened intently to my aunts and uncles' conversations, hoping to catch a stray remark, a hint, anything that might shed light on my mother's past.
But her efforts were met with polite deflections and knowing glances.
My search for answers led me to the attic, a dimly lit space filled with the musty scent of forgotten things. As I sifted through dusty boxes and cobwebbed trunks, my heart pounded with anticipation.
And then, tucked away in a dusty hatbox, she found it, a small leather-bound diary, its cover cracked and faded. The attic, with its musty air and forgotten treasures, became Emma's sanctuary. She spent hours poring over the contents of the old hatbox, each letter, each photograph, a piece of a puzzle she was desperate to solve. The diary belonged to her mother, its pages filled with elegant script that spoke of a life Emma barely recognized.
There were entries about a childhood friend, a talented artist named Lillian, and their shared dreams of escaping their small town and pursuing their passions.
As Emma delved deeper into the diary, a sense of unease began to creep into her heart. The tone of her mother's writing changed, becoming laced with a bitterness that was both unsettling and heartbreaking. Entries about Lillian were filled with veiled accusations and a deep sense of betrayal.
The more I read, the more I realized that my mother's past was far more complex than I had ever imagined. The happy, carefree woman in the early photographs was slowly replaced by a figure shrouded in sadness and regret.
Emma could almost feel the weight of her mother's secrets, the burden of a past she had carried alone for far too long.